And welcome back, everyone, to Between Bells here on Cheddar. I'm Baker Machado. President-elect Joe Biden turned Georgia blue, and college professor Carolyn Bourdeaux flipped that open seat in the Peach State's 7th District, defeating Republican Rich McCormick. So here to tell us about her race and what lies ahead in the Peach State is Congresswoman-elect Carolyn Bourdeaux. Congresswoman, great to have you here. Congratulations on your big victory. Republicans have actually held that district since 1995, and you were actually one of the few Democrats that had a good night on election night. What is it about the changing landscape of Georgia and this district in particular that you were able to succeed here?
Well, thanks so much for having me. We just put together a campaign that was grounded on solving problems for people, about healthcare, about dealing with COVID, getting that under control, getting our children back in school, our economy back on its feet. But even more important, our campaign was powered by an amazing group of volunteers. We had over 800 volunteers, over 100 young people who are organizers, interns, fellows on the campaign, and they reached out to the very diverse communities of Georgia's 7th District, and we just had extraordinary turnout.
You had a run for this seat back in 2018. You didn't get it in 2018 during that big election then. What did you do differently this time in this district this time?
Well, what we're able to do is really build on the success of the 2018 race. Even though I didn't make it across the line, we closed a 20 percentage point gap, and I came within 433 votes of flipping the seat, which was the closest race in the country. But one of the things to know about Georgia 7 is 25% of the people in the district were born outside of this country. It is a very, very diverse district. And so we were able to build on the communities and the relationships that we had developed in the last race to get the job done this time.
Georgia, a fascinating political story, especially this year, given the fact that Joe Biden won Georgia by, very small margins, but still the first Democrat to win Georgia since 1992. For a lot of us here in New York, we're sort of catching on to the demographic changes that are happening in Georgia. What has this transformation been like in that state that we've seen it happen so fast like this?
So you can think of it as the new South. This district is very diverse. As I was saying, we had 150,000 new registered voters in 2020 as compared to 2016. We had almost as many people vote in the 2020 election as were registered to vote in 2016. So there's an enormous change. We had a 158% increase in Asian Americans who are registered to vote in the district. And so it was a combination of this demographic change and a campaign that was really reaching out to people and activating these new communities in a new way.
We obviously know all eyes still going to be on Georgia. Nobody's leaving Georgia, at least until after January the 5th. But really, the Senate majority is now essentially in play with these two Senate races. When we look back at the election just a week or so ago, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, the two Democrats in this race, ended up, especially Ossoff, losing, to David Perdue. The margins were really tiny here. Democrats tend to not do very well in these special elections. How is this one going to be different?
Well, we know the voters are there. These are tough races, but we need to turn out our voters. We can win if everyone votes. So if anybody's listening to this who is in Georgia, it is time to order your absentee ballot right now. We are going to be working hard on going back to everybody who turned out in the general election and working like crazy to turn them out again for these special elections.
No doubt the moment you get into Congress, you're going to be seeing a lot of very intensive stuff. We've got the coronavirus potential stimulus package you potentially might be having to take a vote on as well. Just how important is that going to be if that does not get done through the lame duck session here?
Oh, it's just desperately needed. I am the mother of an 8-year-old. My son is at home doing digital schooling. I know a lot of small business owners whose businesses are operating at a fraction of the capacity. We need that support to get us through this crisis. And we need to stand up the public health infrastructure. That's going to be really important to getting through a winter where COVID is really surging, and then making sure that if we have a good vaccine, that we're able to distribute it to everybody quickly and effectively.
We saw some other Democrats who were running in the election just recently who might have lost had said that the defund the police talk socialism. We had Republicans really bombarding Democrats with socialism ads and negative ads on them. And that was one of the reasons why they said that they didn't end up winning. I know you're about to be elected into Congress, but it seems like there might be a big kind of come to Jesus moment coming up for Democrats when you get there. Just how important is it for Democrats in this big tent party to really kind of come together and figure out who's all in this party?
It's really essential that we come together. And I think if we focus on the problem at hand, we are going to come together to solve these issues. We have to recognize racism and how that's affected the Black community. That really does have to be recognized. But nobody is talking about defunding the police. We need to rebuild trust between the police and the very diverse communities across our country.
A hand recount is underway in your state. President Trump has also been asking for that. Do you anticipate any of those votes changing, going to President Trump and him winning Georgia at the end of the day?
No. This whole recount is an effort to appease the president. And so Georgia is going through a recount of around 5 million votes, and they're counting them by hand. And I would say at enormous expense to our counties and to our taxpayers. And then when it became clear he was not going to win by doing that, he all of a sudden tried to come up with other things that he wanted to have done. But basically, he's just flailing at this point.
We had one of your Democratic colleagues, Chris Pappas from New Hampshire, on earlier today. And we asked him sort of to assess how he felt the election went. And he said, listen, I think voters gave us basically they're tired of how old Washington works and they want us to finally just work together. Republicans and Democrats just learn to work together. Is that sort of the assessment that you got from the election as well?
Absolutely. The people of Georgia 7 are very pragmatic and practical, and they just want to get the job done. They want the problem solved. And it's one of the reasons I got into the races, because I have worked with both parties really throughout my career. To solve problems for people sometimes in periods of crisis. So I was director of Georgia's Senate Budget Office during the Great Recession and helped balance the budget of the state during that time. And I think that kind of problem solving attitude is what people would like to see.
Well, congratulations on your big victory. Carolyn Bourdeaux, representative-elect for Georgia's 7th Congressional District. Great to have you here. Thanks so much for joining.